Welcome to the TK Show with the Athletic Bay Area's Editor-in-Chief, Tim Kawakami.
Hey everybody, Tim Kawakami here, TK Show, live from the Kawakami Studios. It's the well-equipped, massive complex I've built right in my living room here. Actually, it's a table and some equipment, but that's all good. We got a great guest on for this week. Someone that you probably know, you've seen him around, major figure in what's going on in the NBA with the Warriors right now and in the world. It's Rich Kleiman, Kevin Durant's. You're president of Durant Co. What's your title now, Rich? What do we call you now?
We could just call me Kevin's manager.
There you go.
We and our partner in his companies, but let's stick with manager.
Okay.
That's how it started.
Well, let's go right. I didn't even know this because the news was kind of breaking today. Our own Anthony Slater, who you know well, talked to Kevin and just asked him a few questions about Kevin's future with the Warriors. Just said, hey, we're all assuming he's going to be back with the Warriors, but are you 100% going to be back with the Warriors next season? Because Kevin can be a free agent, and Kevin said, yeah. I mean, I don't think it's a surprise to anybody, but Rich, have you had these conversations with Kevin? Is it just do you just assume everything is all set for him to re-sign with the Warriors? And would that be a one-year deal like it was last time, or would you be looking for a long-term deal?
To be quite honest, we haven't even really talked about it this year. I mean, we'll talk about it in passing, but unlike past years, even more so last year, and then obviously his last year in Oklahoma, we really did not talk about it. I assumed the same thing. I assumed it was 100%, so I'm not surprised by that answer. And I honestly don't even know how we're going to structure it. I've thought about a few different scenarios, but we'll do what works for him, and obviously make sure that it works for the future of the team. And and I'm sure we'll come to the right decision. But yeah, I mean, I don't envision any scenario like Kevin said where he's not there.
Yeah, last summer, I should say, kind of surprised us by taking the big, the nice pay cut, and you guys went to the Warriors on this. Rich, how did that kind of conversation come up with you and Kevin? Was it kind of spur of the moment? Was it something you'd been talking about for a few weeks? Say, listen, we could take $25 million. We don't have to go for the Supermax. How did that all evolve?
Yeah, I mean, again, this might sound surprising, but it's less of like a sit-down conversation. And for me, it was just assumed that, that while Kevin wants to be compensated for what he brings to an organization, winning is the most important thing. So when I understood some of the scenarios, I had a feeling I knew what Kevin's response would be. And just like I imagined when I brought it to him, he was basically like, let's figure out a way that we can make it work, that everybody's back. I want to be here with everybody back. So, then it's just math and kind of going back and forth at that point. It wasn't like, this is how much I'm not going to take. It was just, you get to a point that can work for everyone. And, no matter what the process was, the only thing that I knew Kevin was going to worry about was making sure that all his teammates were back. So, I knew what the mission was.
Well, let's talk about the feeling both you guys have had since you've come out to the Bay Area. There's your famous quote, a week or so after he signed with the Warriors, and he calls you from China and he's on a trip and he's saying, what the F did you let me do this for in my life? I mean, how has the adjustment gone for him? Was that mostly a joke on his part, or were there times when he went, oh my God, this is too much for me?
Well, first of all, I hate that I even said that. Somebody gave me a real hard time about somebody important in both Kevin and my life, and I don't want to say who it is, but someone whose opinion mattered really gave me a hard time about that one. So let's forget I said that. But in terms of his experience out there, he's not one day has he complained to me about his experience in the Bay. I think he feels as comfortable as anywhere he's lived in his life. He loves the people. He loves the community. He loves the food. He's a real foodie. Yep. And then for our business, it's been incredible. It was an evolution that we looked at as something we always wanted to do, but it just got sped up tenfold once we moved out there and really met some inspiring people too.
How about you? I mean, how often are you in the Bay Area, Rich? And basically, have you relocated your business operation into the Bay Area?
Well, I'm there, I would say, 2 work weeks of the month. Not as scheduled out as that, but that's how it works out to be. and then I'm in New York the rest of the time, or I'm in LA. But yeah, I would say a majority of our business out there. I mean, at the end of the day, like my day job is really making sure Kevin's life is right and on the court and off the court. So that has to be where he is. But then on top of it, we've gotten so enmeshed in the world out there and been somewhat active investing and creating content, and all of that for us has been out in the Bay and in LA. So it's been great.
We always ask these give us that one moment questions, and I don't love them, but I sometimes ask them, and I'll ask them to use a time when you and Kevin kind of looked at each other and go, yeah, this is it. This is what we hoped. This might even be better than we hoped out here with the Warriors.
Man. Might have been, honestly, I mean, that's hard to tell. I don't know if I have that moment. I'm usually good at giving like a somewhat of like a storyline answer, but I really can't even think of it. I mean, as soon as this was such a thorough decision for him. This wasn't like, I don't think Kevin was going to put himself in a position where it was, we went out there and were shocked by something, but it really is everything. I mean, maybe the first time he played in front of the fans. I mean, I know it sounds pretty cliche, but he's really like a hooper in that way. So it's those kind of moments. Well, yeah. But his fan base in Oklahoma was incredible too. So maybe it was the pasta at Tosca.
Yeah, you guys keep going back there. You must like it. You must like it.
That's a safe answer. It might have been the meatballs or the pasta we always get.
You were in the room for the Hamptons, all that stuff. I'm always curious about the dynamics of that. Let's just talk about the Warriors part of it. I didn't think it was going to be that big a deal when all the players went out there to visit him. I just thought, hey, Tom Brady's there for the Celtics. All these other guys are for other teams. It's not that big a deal that Steph, Clay, Draymond, and Andre are going to be there. But obviously it really impacted the way Kevin felt about it. What did you feel about the energy in that room when those four guys flew out to the Hamptons to meet with Kevin and you?
Well, first of all, I thought it was cool. Like, I had a lot of fun. I'm a basketball junkie, so, I mean, the people that were in that room, from the players to the executives, these are people I'm fans of as people and for how they perform at their job. So that was cool. And then being, front and center and being able to be a part of that process was amazing. Like, for some kids, it's like when they play in a big game, they can't hide the fact that was one of those things they dreamed of, one of those moments they dreamed of. So, I never was like a kid saying, man, I just want to be at the front of a free agency negotiation. I'm not going to say that. Like, we all wanted to do on paper, the cooler job at first. But as I really got into the business side of this stuff and in sports and entertainment, those are those exciting moments. So it was great. And honestly, it was great for me to see him see how much people sought after him, how much his talent was respected, because that really is, and I think you've probably heard him say it before, but like, he still sometimes can't believe the position he's in, and I know everybody says that too, but he always says one of his goals was to be the best kid in his neighborhood. Like, that's really what he was thinking about. So to see like, wow, I got every team here, or every team calling, I think he was, really flattered by that process too. So that was cool, and having his family around.
You talk about his
Plus, my family was out there, so that really worked out.
Was that why you were in the Hamptons? Was that why it was Hamptons was the base, by the way, because of you?
I mean, ultimately, it's because he was cool to being there. But I will say this: he's really respectful of. I have two girls, 8 and 4, and I have a wife, yep. And and my family is very, obviously, the most important thing to me. So I commute, I'm traveling all over the place. So no question, like, when we looked at a group of places, and I was like, well, just so you know, this would be amazing since we're going to China right afterwards. And, I wouldn't see my family for a while. And, Kevin's truly that selfless. So he's like, well, if it's going to fit X, Y, and Z, then I'm cool with it. Like, if we can all be comfortable. And it was his family's on the East Coast, so.
So tell me your kids were wandering.
So yeah, short answer, yes.
So just tell me your kids were wandering through some of these discussions.
No, that was the worst part. I didn't even see my kids all weekend.
They were just playing on the beach, probably somewhere.
They didn't even know what I was doing.
Hey, you talk about Kevin's neighborhood. Obviously, the big news is he's donating $10 million for the college track program, I believe, and it's involved with Prince George's County. we're calling it the Durant Center, correct? What went into this? And I just have seen a lot of people saying that Kevin just is kind of coming into his own as a thinker, as someone who wants to be an influencer in communities. Has this been a development? Has this been something you and he have been planning? And what did this moment mean for him to be able to do something like that?
Well, I mean, I think he's always done this stuff, and he's always been, a business mind and very philanthropic. I don't know if he's coming to his own as much as he's just, changing and growing and evolving, and we all are. So it's like some things were important for him at some points in his career, and then you get to a certain point and you want to keep evolving and growing. So he was always very philanthropic with his community, with other unserved communities that are important to him and that are in need. But I think once the foundation got to a certain point, it was really always to go back to where he grew up and make a real impact that could be lasting and could give back to that community that helped him and built him. So we were very fortunate to meet people out in the Bay. Ron Conway is a good friend of ours. He introduced Kevin and I to Lorene Jobs. We learned all about college track, and right away Kevin said, I need this in where I grew up. He always wanted, this like facility of like learning and mentorship, and he grew up at a rec center that was everything to him. So Lorene had created this and was in 9 cities, I think, at that point, and we were the 10th one. So we worked for the last year and a half, and Kevin committed his own funding. And the facility is the Durant Center. The program is college track, and it's a partnership between KBCF and college track, and it'll launch in September. And this was like a dream come true for him, his family. You could just see the excitement in the community. And for me, that, similar to like the free agency, to be able to see that I was a part of something. I played my own small part in something that I could, bring to this community and help Kevin get his ultimate goal achieved. So that was incredible.
Well, let's talk about your relationship with Kevin. I mean, where did you meet? How did this kind of thing happen? And obviously you're the guy he trusts more than, business-wise for sure, more than anybody. How did this relationship bloom? I
was working with a rapper out of Washington, D.C. by the name of Wale, and Wale and Kevin were very good friends. And he was coming into a Jay-Z show right after his rookie year. It was around draft time in New York. And Wale asked me if I would connect with Kevin. They were both going to the show. I guess Kevin was just with his brother or his friend. And, like I said, I'm a basketball junkie, so he might have just been 1 year in the league, but everyone knew who he was. And, I wanted to definitely meet this guy and see what he's about. And, was working with Jay-Z and brought him to the show, and it was incredible. I've told the story before, but I asked, Jay wanted to see him after the show, and Kevin, he passed on it because he was still like, I don't deserve to be in front of one of my idols here. And like, I just don't believe that. I'm used to people that like, they're in the door before I even hang up the phone or something. So that was impressive. We always kept in touch. We always spoke, and we always talked basketball. We're 12 years apart, and we were living completely different lives, but we keep in touch, and I'd hit him after a game. And then when Jay-Z started the sports agency and brought me to help bring that together and put that together. Kevin, and Jay knew each other a little bit, and his partner Juan, and we all brought Kevin in for a meeting, and it took a while from then on too. Like, it was still a growth period and getting to know each other, and then he came on to Rock Nation, and and that's when everything else kind of went to the next level.
Do you think the Oklahoma City thing is kind of over with now, or is that something that even you guys had to deal with a little bit, just the emotions of it, the whole cupcake thing? Obviously the Westbrook stuff, that's the stuff that we talk about, but on your part, on your side, you and Kevin, is this over with, or is there still some things to deal with that separation?
Well, for me, I had nothing, no one cares about me there. They even knows me, so I'm not involved in it at all.
They probably know you a little.
But Kevin, it feels over to me, 100%. I mean, he loves it there.
Yep. I mean, he has gone back. I mean, he still has some investment there, I believe. No, maybe not.
No, not an investment. He has like charitable work there that he does.
Okay.
He goes back, I guess when you go, and they play each other.
Hey, that restaurant was pretty good back there, by the way. I like that
That
restaurant.
was good.
I mean,
That was great.
Chicken and waffles and some really tremendous stuff there. It was.
Oh
very
yeah.
nice.
The burger was good.
Yep.
The salad I loved.
Yep.
It was good.
Yep.
It was really good. We did an amazing gala there once. It was amazing. Like I remember our financial advisor came in. It was like his first time in Oklahoma, and he's a pretty like serious guy. And I guess he'd had a few drinks at the hotel, and he came in with a cowboy hat. I'd never seen this like that. It was insane. Like I love the energy there. It was awesome.
Let's talk a little bit about Kevin's investments in Silicon Valley and all these things that are happening there. If you had to like describe a couple of them, what are the ones that you're most excited about? And maybe with some of the ones that Kevin's most excited about. I know he's involved with 35 Media. I know he's got all these other tech investments. What's the latest ones that got you excited?
Well, yeah, the 35 Media stuff is separate but exciting too. That's like the content division, and
that's a YouTube
created
stuff.
a show
YouTube
at
channel,
Apple, and the YouTube channels. But I mean, they're all exciting. I think the ones that are more on brand for him in some ways are like a company like Overtime, company like Postmates, Acorns, this company out of New York, Propel. I mean, there's so many those are the ones that, you know, there's some that as a businessman, as like a investor, we will do more of a passive investment only because it doesn't help them for Kevin to be involved really. You know, it's not on brand for them either. So it's not something that you really hear about like publicly, but you know, the ones that are more in line with his lifestyle, like Postmates and Overtime and Acorns, which is an important cause for him, and his company Whoop, which is a wearable tech, and you know, there's a bunch. He's got into esports, which is pretty exciting. So you know, but all of them obviously are, you know, because we're not a venture capital firm, so you know, there has to be that extra layer to a lot of it as well, not just what makes sense on paper.
I assume most of these companies are kind of approaching you guys. I mean, how do you kind of go through them? Did you try to get a personal contact with Kevin? I just imagine there's this line of people.
At this point, you know, being like almost 2 years in actively, I think our relationships we're fortunate to have some really good mentors and some great relationships and contacts. And I think, you know, we have gotten a good amount of press as well for some of our investments and the work we've done. So the deal flow is pretty good now, and that's where a majority of it comes from. We're not actively seeking investments, but I'm actively meeting new people all the time, and opens up new opportunities, and Kevin is as well. And that's really the experience that's the most fun, I think. It's just kind of the people we become real friends with out there. They've really become like a big part of our life, and they've been so like amazing and helping us because, you know, it's not what my background was in, or Kevin's, but I think obviously, you know, but both of us really just really connected and really enjoyed the process, and it's been like a real great learning experience as well. But we have a great group of companies. I feel really good about the stuff we've done.
One company that I know I've talked to him a little bit about, and I know he loved the I can't even remember now, the Defiant Ones, the documentary on.
Oh yeah, he loved that.
And it just
Dre.
Dre. I'm sorry. Just that the Apple company. I know you have a relationship with them now. Have you gone to that campus? What has that relationship been like?
I have not gone to that campus, but I would love to. I would go to actual camp there if I could.
It's a special company. It just seems to be a special company to a lot of people, even within the world of Silicon Valley, at least to me.
Yeah, without question. I think, what was I going to say? Yes, I mean, 100%. You know, we was very fortunate to meet Tim Cook a few times, which was amazing. Obviously, we got to know Eddie Q. He's just like a complete rock star, and I'm
Warriors fan too, by the way. I understand.
Oh, well, that's what I'm saying. Like the Warrior fan. He's in every like highlight or promo or. You know, when like they cut the commercial on ABC, they show like the most energetic fan is always him. I must text him like, he doesn't always write back, I'm not going to lie, but I must text him like maybe 5-6 games a year. Like the TV time is out of control right now. Like you're just like you and the NBA. But he's been amazing to us. And then, you know, we ended up, like I said, we sold we sold the show to Apple that we're creating and developing now about AAU basketball. And that's exciting to work with Eddie and that whole group of people too. It's going to be amazing.
All right. I will close this with a question. I've been looking forward to this answer. man of many cities that you are, many big cities, I ask all my guests at the end, what's your favorite restaurant, Rich?
Well, my favorite restaurant, I could do this with you all night. So my favorite restaurant in New York is tough one, for sure. Sorry.
You got people trying to jump in and trying to answer for you.
I know, man. It's enough. Let me answer this. It's probably this restaurant, Elio's. I used to go with my family every Sunday night, and I've never had a bad meal there. There's some, like, neighborhood restaurants where I live in New York that are just, like, there'd be no point even telling you. But and then in L.A., this restaurant, Ibaldi. I'll also, like, I have restaurants that I'm obsessed with through my kids.
Yep.
Like, if my kids could answer this, they'd say Panera Bread. So then, like, in some ways,
that works.
That has to be one of my favorites too, because I got to eat their food half the time. So, but I think Elio's in New York, and then in San Francisco, it's Tosca and North Beach. Those are my two. And then International Smoke is insane. I love it. It's amazing.
Well, yeah, there's a special there. I've heard that's like where everybody just hangs after games. I don't want to like get people. Just like we're the Warriors.
Listen, my doctor told me on a Friday before I went to the Bay that I had to. It was time for me at 40 years old to really like look at my cholesterol. Well, I'm sure we all hear that, but then I ended up having ribs and steak like 5 nights in a row at International Smoke. That's what I did the day after. 5 nights in a row. It was really hard. I mean, the food was incredible. Doctor wouldn't have been happy.
What's your order there? The ribs?
I get the I get the ribs, but I also get what's the word again? I'm like blanking out. What's it called? When the rib comes right off the bone. What is that again?
I don't know. I'm blanking too. But
when it's like a brisket, but it's not like that.
Okay. Well,
oh my God. I'll text you later.
Well, we'll do a special show on that one. I'm ready to do a show there, by the way. Actually, Joe Lacob owes me dinner from a long ago bet. It's going to be an International Smoke.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, we were talking about like French Laundry.
Well, you know what? I probably owe Joe a dinner, so why don't I just take you out? That'll be easier. We could do it when I'm there.
No, it's too easy on Joe, though. That's too easy on Joe. We'll all go. Well, actually, you can do that.
All right, we'll all go.
Yeah,
we'll all go.
Joe's got to go sit through the company of me too, so that's part of the penalty of the losing the bet. So.
All right. Well, then maybe why don't you guys do that one? And we'll go separately.
Absolutely. You are on that one.
All right, deal.
But again, listen, I really appreciate talking to you, Rich. I'm glad we can do this. We'll do it again. I'm sure I'll see you real soon. And thanks for being on the show.
For sure. Thanks. I'll see you next week. I'm back in the Bay.
All right, Rich. Everybody, that's Rich Kleiman, the TK Show for today. Thanks.